We're about to dive into one of the most personal, maybe one of the most intimate chapters in the entire Bible, Psalm 139. We're going to explore this incredible idea. What does it mean to be completely known by God? And more than that, how can we find real, deep security in that truth? So let's just start with a question. I want you to really think about this for a second. What if being fully known, I mean everything, with nothing hidden, what if that felt completely safe? I know, for a lot of us, that might sound kind of impossible, right? But believe it or not, that's the very thing this psalm is inviting us to experience. Okay, so let's get into it. Sometimes the biggest struggle isn't what's going on around us, but what's happening inside our own hearts. It's that feeling when God just feels distant. There can be this really painful disconnect between what we know in our heads is true about God and what our hearts are actually feeling in the moment. And when we're going through those tough times, it's so easy for our view of God to get, well, a little twisted. We can feel like he's distant, even though the truth is, he's near. We might feel like his knowledge of us is exposing when it's meant to be safe. We feel silence, we feel confusion, and it's exhausting. But here's the good news. Psalm 139 speaks right into that gap. It's like a direct answer to those feelings, getting a solid truth to stand on. So let's look at what Psalm 139 reveals. We're going to break down 3 foundational truths from this psalm that aren't just for our heads, They're meant to actually restore our trust right at the heart level. And it all starts right here in verse 1. David says, "You have searched me and known me." Just listen to how personal that is. This isn't some far-off, abstract idea about God. This is the language of a real, close relationship. He's saying, "You've searched me. You know me." And what does that mean? It means you are personally and completely known. And this isn't like God is just watching from a distance with a clipboard. No, it's exhaustive. He doesn't just know what you do. He knows what you carry on the inside, your thoughts, your secret fears, your motives, all of it. He knows you completely, and that knowledge comes from a place of deep care. Then David asks this amazing question, "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence?" I mean, just think about that. Where could you possibly go to get away from God? The answer is, well, there is no answer. You can't. And the incredible truth behind that is this. You are constantly in his presence. There is literally not a single moment in your life, not the highs, not the lows, not the darkest valleys or the most confusing times, where you are out of his sight or beyond his care. Think about it. The same God who knows every single thing about you is also the God who is with you, always. That's a security you can build your life on. And then the third truth takes us all the way back to the very beginning. David says, "For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb." I mean, that language is just so tender. It's so personal. This isn't about an accident, it's about a master artist at work. The takeaway is just so powerful. You are intentionally and wonderfully designed. You're not a mistake. You're not a random collection of cells. Every single part of you, even the things you see as weaknesses or limitations, God knew about them before you were even born. And get this, they're not roadblocks to his plan for you. In fact, a lot of the time, they're the very things he uses to do his most amazing work. Okay, so David lays out all these incredible facts about God, but he doesn't just stop there like he's finished a checklist. The whole psalm has been building up to this point, a personal, relational response. It's about moving from just knowing these things to actually surrendering to them. So you have to ask, right? After thinking about this God who knows everything about him, is with him everywhere, and literally designed him from scratch, how does he react? Does he panic? Does he try to hide? Nope. He does something that might seem pretty surprising. He prays this, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any grievous way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Wow, he literally invites God to come in and look around. This isn't a prayer that comes from fear. This is an act of incredible trust. He's saying, "God, I trust you so much that I'm giving you full access. See it all. And then lead me." But wait a minute. This brings up a pretty big question, doesn't it? Being fully known by a perfectly holy God? I mean, shouldn't that be terrifying? How on earth could David respond with trust instead of just pure panic? Well, the answer changes everything, and it's found in the gospel. And here is the absolute game changer. Because of what Jesus did on the cross, We get to be fully known and fully forgiven at the same time. God isn't just watching us anymore, He's adopted us. He's our Father, not some distant, angry judge. And that means when He searches our hearts, His goal is never, ever to condemn us. It's always to heal, to restore, and to lead us closer to Him. So how do we actually live this out? What does it look like to move from just knowing this stuff in our heads to truly trusting it deep down in our hearts, in our day-to-day lives? Well, first, it means we can finally stop pretending. We can come to God honestly, without hiding or trying to put on a show. Second, we can decide to trust His word over our feelings. We let Scripture be what defines what's true, even when our emotions are all over the place. And finally, we can actually do what David did. We can invite Him in and say, "Okay, God, search my heart. Show me what's there, and lead me." Really, the whole invitation of Psalm 139 is about this one massive shift. It's about moving from just thinking, "I know God sees everything," which can feel a little scary, to a place of deep trust where we can say, "I trust God with everything He sees in me." That changes everything. And so that leaves us with a final question, something to really chew on. What would actually happen? What would change in your life, in your worries, and how you see yourself if you really, truly started to trust God with everything He already sees in you?